When police arrived at the Hibbs house fire, they quickly realized it was arson. The killer had left behind 4 distinct points of origin. They had a suspect almost immediately, but every time detectives got close, they were ordered to back off. The man who murdered Joy Hibbs was untouchable, and he remained free for 3 decades. Joy Hibbs was born September 23, 1955, in Chiefland, Florida, the youngest of 9 siblings. She grew up surrounded by a large, loving family in a home filled with warmth and activity. Joy loved the outdoors, spending her free time hiking, fishing, and exploring the natural beauty of her hometown. She was athletic and competitive, participating in running and even competing in marathons. A devoted football fan, she never missed her favorite team's games. During high school, Joy met Charlie, a young man who would become her husband shortly after graduation. The young couple soon moved to Pennsylvania, settling in the quiet town of Chalfont, where they would build their future together. Joy had always dreamed of working in the medical field, driven by her natural compassion for others. She began as a veterinary assistant, but soon enrolled in college courses to earn a medical degree. Her dedication paid off, and she secured a position as a physical therapist at a clinic close to home. In 1975, Joy and Charlie welcomed their first child, a daughter, followed by a son 3 years later. The family moved into a quiet neighborhood in Chalfont, where they appeared to live a peaceful and happy life. To friends and relatives, Joy and Charlie had built the perfect family, embodying the American dream. April 19, 1991, began like any other Friday in the Hibbs household. 35-year-old Joy prepared her children for school and saw them off before turning her attention to her own responsibilities. She ran errands that morning, stopping at the grocery store and the bank to cash a check. Around 1 in the afternoon, her 12-year-old son David returned home from school, eager to share his good grades with his mother. He noticed her car parked outside and ran toward the house excitedly. But his excitement quickly turned to terror as he saw thick, black smoke billowing from the windows. David opened the front door and was met by a wall of flames spreading through the house. He tried to enter to find his mother, but the smoke and fire made it impossible to go further. Neighbors had noticed the smoke and called the fire department. Firefighters arrived and quickly extinguished the flames, but when they reached the last room of the house, they discovered a human body. Due to severe burns, they could not make a positive identification. Joy's daughter rushed home from school, finding her brother in tears. Her husband, Charlie, arrived and collapsed upon learning a body had been found inside. Firefighters noticed something highly unusual about the blaze. The fire had started in 4 separate areas of the house, something almost unheard of in accidental fires. All 4 gas burners on the kitchen stove had been left on with debris scattered across them. This was arson, not an accident. The medical examiner confirmed the victim was Joy Hibbs and revealed there was no smoke in her lungs, meaning she was dead before the fire began. Most chillingly, her body showed multiple cuts, bruises, and stab wounds. The case was reclassified as a homicide investigation. With no foreign DNA found on Joy's body, detectives shifted their focus to possible suspects. The first person they investigated was Charlie, but he had a solid alibi and showed genuine grief. Friends and family confirmed the couple had a happy marriage. Investigators also considered a robbery motive since Joy had cashed a check that day and her wallet was empty. However, no valuables were taken, making this theory unlikely. Detectives learned of troubling incidents in Joy's life before her death, including a brick thrown through her window, slashed tires, and damage to her front door. Neighbors spotted a blue Monte Carlo parked in front of Joy's house just before the fire started, but no one saw the driver. Joy's son mentioned that his mother's friend, April, sometimes drove a car like that. Investigators learned that April and her husband Robert had lived nearby but had recently lost their home. Neighbors described Robert as violent with a bad temper, and there were rumors he physically abused April. Joy had provided April with a safe haven from her abusive husband. Joy's son also recalled overhearing a phone call where Robert threatened his mother. Police discovered Robert had a long criminal record, mostly for drug offenses. He denied involvement, claiming he was on vacation with his family. Detectives noticed a fresh scratch on his arm that he blamed on a dog. Robert stopped cooperating with investigators and refused a polygraph test. Neighbors could not identify his car because his Monte Carlo was black, not blue. His alibi seemed solid as he and his family had checked into a hotel the day of the murder. With this, investigators shifted their focus to other leads, and the case eventually went cold in 2014, 23 years after the murder. The case was reopened by the Cold Case Unit. The new team discovered that the Narcotics Division had handled communication with Robert, which was highly unprofessional. A retired detective admitted they were instructed to stay away from Robert because he was a key informant in a massive drug trafficking case. The original investigators barely pursued him to protect the operation. The new team re-interviewed witnesses and discovered the timeline had been wrong. Robert had a window of time to commit the murder before checking into the hotel. April, now divorced from Robert, finally broke her silence and admitted he came home messy and sweaty on the day of the murder. With her testimony and the corrected timeline, the case against Robert was solidified. In 2021, he was arrested and convicted of first-degree murder and arson, receiving a life sentence without parole. Joy's children had waited 30 years for justice. The tragedy of her story extends beyond her violent death. The system that was supposed to protect her chose to look the other way, sacrificing her case to protect a drug investigation, leaving a family without answers for decades.